Yes. Take a drink and some pie.
Geographically speaking, it's hard to imagine a better reward at the end of a long season than a trip to the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl. From Waikiki Beach to a midweek luau, the players from Boise State and East Carolina have enjoyed the islands. Now it's time to take the heart rate back up, get ready to play at a place where wind chill doesn't apply. Not a bad view, huh? We welcome you to the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl, all part of Capital One Bowl Week. 10-2 Boise State taking on 7-5 East Carolina from Aloha Stadium here in sunny, warm Honolulu. And hi, everybody. Terry Gannon along with David Norrie. Janine Edwards down on the field in just a bit. Take you back a year to the last bowl game that Boise State played in. What a dramatic game. The win over Oklahoma in overtime, one of the greatest bowl wins ever. You got the hook and lateral. You've got the Statue of Liberty halfback pass, and this is an offense that's continued to rack up big numbers.
Well, if you can believe it, they're averaging more points this year than they did a year ago in their perfect season, a 13-0 season. And I think this offense is one of the most exciting offenses, Terry, that we'll see in all of the bowl season. They continue to play well at quarterback. Taylor Tharp getting his first year as a starter, a fifth-year senior. They have not missed a beat at the quarterback position. They've got the All-American Ian Johnson, a great backup, and Jeremy Avery at running back. And of course, you've got to look out for the specialty plays, the trick plays, both offensively and in the special teams. But I'm really looking forward to watching Boise State this afternoon.
Ian Johnson a bit banged up. We'll check on his status in just a moment. But on the other side, ECU, a murderous schedule, the first 4 games. And Skip Holtz has really turned this program around now. Here they are, their second straight bowl game. They've got a runner in the backfield, Chris Johnson, who's put up big numbers, and they strike quickly.
Yeah, Chris Johnson is one of the fastest athletes in college football. They line him up in the backfield, 1,200 yards on the season, but they also like to get the ball to him in the pass game outside. And I think East Carolina, even though you don't want to get caught up in a scoring matchup with Boise State, I think they're going to have to win a shootout today. And for East Carolina to have a chance to win, they're going to have to get athletes like Chris Johnson out in space and take advantage of their athleticism in the open field.
As I mentioned, Ian Johnson, he nicked his ankle earlier this week in practice and has not practiced throughout the week. At the walkthrough yesterday, he was just on the sideline, so he's a game-time decision. We'll probably see him, but I'm not sure how much. And as we send it down to Janine Edwards, it certainly plays into the confidence offensively for Boise State. Janine.
Oh, Terry, without a doubt it does. You know, in ESPN's Bowl Mania Challenge, 98% of the voters picked Boise State to win their bowl game. How is that for confidence in the Broncos? But does the Bronco quarterback Taylor Tharp share that assurance? Tharp has been dogged by confidence issues, but only this season, thanks to the bond that he developed with receiver Jeremy Childs, did Tharp find that esteem and that poise. So when he found out that Childs was not making the trip, he said he was devastated. He said it felt like a part of him was going to be missing out here. Now, when you add that to the fact that their go-to running back, Ian Johnson, may see limited action today, you could say that Ian Tharp will be without 2 of his most calming influences on the field. So the faith that America has in the Broncos could be hinging today on the faith that Taylor Tharp has in himself. Terry?
Nice to have America's confidence, but that lasts up until the kick. And then it doesn't matter when you play football. ECU won the toss, deferred to the second half. So Ben Hartman will get things underway as Austin Smith and Jeremy Avery, the speedster, are back deep.
Well, Janine Edwards talks about America's confidence after that Fiesta Bowl win a year ago, Boise State over Oklahoma. Everybody was talking about Boise State being America's team at the college level. And that win a year ago, probably the most exciting game that I've ever seen, Terry. Certainly a bowl game, from a bowl game perspective. And I think a lot of people outside of the Boise State community are still riding the enthusiasm and the excitement of that win.
The national championship game that did not go down to the wire. A lot of people's memories really resting on that game from the bowl season last year. Smith inside his own 5, going to bring it back for the Broncos. Bounces off a 1 and then another. And out across the 25 to the 26, and that's where Boise State will start their first offensive series. 10-2 on the year, 7-1 in the WAC, and they came down to that last game, which was held right here at Aloha Stadium, and were beaten by Hawaii, who obviously they've had a terrific season. Will be going to the Sugar Bowl to take on Georgia. The numbers on Taylor Tharp in his first year as the starter. In fact, the first Bronco at quarterback to ever get his first start as a senior. Second team all WAC and over 3,000 yards in the air. And Ian Johnson not in on the first play from scrimmage. Jeremy Avery in the backfield. Out of the gun. There is Avery with the catch across the 25, right at the line of scrimmage, wrapped up and drilled out of bounds. So Johnson not in there. It's Jeremy Avery, the redshirt freshman from Bellflower, California.
And coming into this football game, obviously East Carolina, the unknown quantity, and defensively, they hang their hat on the front seven. A talented front seven, a front four that's gotten bigger and more talented. And East Carolina is going to have to take care of this Boise State run game without getting the safeties involved too much up on the line of scrimmage. Boise State very capable of hurting you in the pass game down the field.
DJ Harper, a true freshman, now in, gets the carry on second down. And Vinny Peretta brings you the starting lineups presented by Yellow Book.
Aloha and happy holidays. Here are tonight's offensive starters for the Boise State Broncos. At quarterback, you got senior gunslinger Taylor Tharp, and at tight end, you got senior offensive captain Ryan Putnam. Up front, we got the unsung heroes, who are led by left tackle All-American Ryan Clady and center four-year starter Jeff Cavender.
And Vinny, the wide receiver, big part of that win last year in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, out with the shoulder injury. We thank him for doing starting lineups today. He'd rather be out there on the field. But here on 3rd and 8, Tharp tucks it, runs across the 30. He's going to be shy of a first down. So that'll bring up 4th. Good defensive set in the first series for the Pirates. Quentin Cotton on the hit.
C.J. Wilson getting some pressure early on against the All-American left tackle Ryan Clady.
Skip Holtz in his 3rd year, 19-17 overall. They were 3-20, David, prior to his arrival. Now he's had back-to-back winning seasons and back-to-back bowl games.
We talked about last year in the bowl game against South Florida. His team relaxed. They were just happy to be there, and Skip Holtz assured us yesterday that wasn't the case coming in against Boise State.
Little rugby-style punt from Kyle Brotzman, and it's going to roll down to the 32. It looked like it may have hit initially an ECU player. No indication there, though. 36-yard punt.
Illegal touching. Kicking team, the ball will be placed at the 43-yard line. First down, East Carolina.
Terry Layden and the crew here working the game this afternoon at Aloha Stadium. Take a look.
And it's interesting here, illegal touching. Very clearly, ball did not hit an East Carolina Pirate. East Carolina having the ability to take that ball where it initially made contact with the Boise State cover man.
And they do use the 2-quarterback offense. It is Patrick Pinckney who gets the start. The junior from Fayetteville, North Carolina. We'll see him. We'll also see Rob Cass, the sophomore from Longwood, Florida, quite a bit. It was Pinckney who started the season after Cass was suspended and did not play the first 3 games. Chris Johnson on the carry, straight ahead. Pinckney brings us the starting lineups presented by Yellow Book.
Aloha. At the running back, we got the All-American Chris Fly Guy Johnson. At the wideout, we got Jamar Playmaker Bryant. And on the offensive line, we got at the right guard Dougie Fresh. And at the left guard, we got Mr. Red himself, Matt Butler.
I get it. Red Butler, you get it? Yeah. Always nice to do the starting lineups from Waikiki Beach. Pinckney to run it. Big hole. Inside the 35, he's got a first down to the 27 of Boise State. Ian Smart, defensive tackle, finally ran him down after a gain of 21.
Well, it was an interesting development. Pinckney getting the start. Usually Rob Cass, the big drop back passer, gets the start, and we see Pinckney either in the 2nd or 3rd possession. But I have a feeling Skip Holtz broke down this Boise State defense on tape and wanted to get some athleticism and get some athletes one-on-one out in the open field with Boise State. This is a very good defense, but a defense that is not incredibly talented when it comes to athleticism.
1st and 10 from the 27. Johnson finds a hole. He's patient. Gains maybe 2 or 3. That's it before Nick Schleckaway along with Sione Tavake. stopped him. Chris Peterson, 23-2. That's all he's done. The 42-year-old who played at UC Davis, was a quarterback, and 15-1 against WAC opponents. That's where they've really, it's been their bread and butter the last 5 or 6 seasons.
Well, they've dominated the WAC over the last 6 years, and you know, it really strikes me, Chris Peterson, the first coach since the 1900 to go 13-0 in his first season. Pretty impressive.
Jason Alter, the tight end, in at fullback, just ahead of Johnson, who looks for a block, skips out to the 21. Marty Tadman, the senior from California, and a first-team All-WAC performer on the hit.
Yeah, they talk about Tadman. He gets people lined up, very heady player. He's not a big safety. He's not very speedy, but he's a very smooth athlete and sneaky in the way that he can break on balls in the pass game. Also very good coming up and supporting against the run.
Dominic Lindsay, the junior from Charlotte, in at tailback. The fake to him. Pinckney keeps it and well shy of a first down. So that brings up 4th at the 19. Kyle Ging, the junior from Phoenix, on the stop. It's Ging and Tim Brady, the outside linebackers for Boise State, really having a better year than most expected. Brady, the junior from Boise, a former quarterback and former walk-on, and then Dallas Dobbs. No one really expected a whole lot from him. And a defense that's better than you would expect, with the offense getting all the attention. 36 yards. And it's good. Hartman. Now 12 of 21 on the year, so Skip Holt says, yep, we're on the board early. And the lay feels good around my neck so far. 3-0 East Carolina, who came all the way from Greenville, North Carolina, well over 4,000 miles to make the trip here to the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl. Boise State set to receive the kick. 36-yarder by Ben Hartman, the first points on the board. The former walk-on who has set an ECU record for consecutive points after, 54 straight. So 8:22 left here in the first. Gorgeous day here in Honolulu, although that's a bit redundant. It's like 80 degrees and sunny. A little shower throughout the afternoon every day, just to make you realize you're not, well, you are mortal and you're still on Earth.
Not a bad assignment to pick up this game. Calling a game from paradise.
Now, how do we weasel our way into this?
I thought you negotiated this one.
Austin Smith, he's got a hold. Still up, he may go. See ya. Just like that. 89 yards for Austin Smith, the senior from San Bernardino.
Well, in their 6-year dominance of the WAC, Boise State's made a living on big plays in the special teams. Austin Smith just hits it, splits it, and all the way for 6. Made it look easy.
And the only guy who's got any real experience returning punts or kicks today because of some injuries. Kyle Bronzman on for the extra point. Down, up, and good. And in the blink of an eye, it's 7-3. Watch it again and enjoy. 89 yards to pay dirt. The longest postseason kick return in the history of Boise State. 89 yards to the end zone for Austin Smith. And we said there may be a few points put on the board this afternoon by both teams. That was after the 8-play drive by ECU that took 4 minutes and 22 seconds off the clock, and they're usually the ones who strike within about a minute. So it's 7-3 Boise State. And ECU, which is in its 2nd straight bowl game, facing a team that has gone for the last 6 seasons. Chris Johnson, the all-everything running back, looks for a hole, upended out at the 25-yard line. So that's 4:36 left here in the first. Pinckney still in at quarterback. Chris Johnson bounces off for one. He's still up. Johnson to the outside, has a chance. Foot race, goodbye. Chris Johnson all the way to the end zone, 68 yards. And they're back to their average of scoring drives under a minute. How about one play?
Well, Boise State heard all week about the speed of Chris Johnson, but it's not quite the same until you see it live. Absolutely one of the fastest players in college football, and he made that secondary look like it was backing up in the open field.
Nice block by Jay Sunhalter, the tight end, who comes in at fullback to spring him. Here comes Hartman on for the extra point. Hartman already with a field goal on the board from 36 yards, and the point after, it is 10-7 East Carolina after Chris Johnson's 17th rushing touchdown this season. A little short pooch this time after the 89-yard return for a touchdown. Jeremy Avery brings it back in good field position again for Boise State out at the 40-yard line. And speaking of Colt Brennan, how about Hawaii and what they've done this year? And that last matchup, which was for the WAC title right here in the last regular season game for Boise State. Avery dances around, splits ahead for a gain of maybe 2 before Linville Joseph, the freshman from Florida, stopped them there. But Hawaii heading to the Sugar Bowl to take on Georgia, and Boise State had a chance to win yet another WAC title in that game, and they have just dominated the WAC over the last number of seasons.
Well, the scene was electric a few weeks back when Boise State took on Hawaii, and Boise State actually had a lead in the third quarter of that game. Colt Brennan 40 for 53, 5 touchdown passes.
46-2, Boise State's record in the WAC last 48 games. This one complete over the middle at the 47 as we send it down to Janine Edwards.
Well, Terry, as you and David know, if Coach Skip Holtz needs any coaching advice whatsoever, he's just a phone call away from one of the all-time greats, his dad, Lou Holtz, 2-time National Coach of the Year. And Skip Holtz told me that he especially sought his dad's insight this season because they had many tough, close, emotional games, no week off. He said, I was mentally shot. So I called my dad and I said, how do I handle this? What did Lou tell him? Suck it up. There's no time for pity. He said, you got to deal with the hand you're dealt. How's that, Terry, for tough love?
Yeah, well, that's what a father's supposed to tell his kid. But they did. They had a tough loss to Carolina, and the one the Southern Miss went down to the last play. Wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage is Tharp Van Eskridge, the first man to meet him, but he had help. Suck it up.
I love that. You look at that picture. Skip coaching alongside his dad. Dad, obviously head coach at Notre Dame at the time, and it looks like Lou's getting ready to let that lid fly. Don't do it, Lou.
Well, you think Skip has seen that look a number of times throughout the years?
How many times have we see the hat or the headsets or both come off? And both, I'll tell you what, the lineage and the pedigree, a lot of the same principles you see in this East Carolina team handed down from Skip Holtz's father.
Brotzman on, averaging over 45 yards a punt. Line drive kick again, and Harris fielded the last one dangerously along the sideline. Watches this one go out at the 15-yard line. Interesting to see the different approaches to the bowls too, and certainly they've taken advantage of the islands here. Had a good time this week before going to work. Chris Johnson with a big touchdown run on the last series out across the 25.
Well, Terry, you know I'm a playoff guy. I'm not a BCS guy, but this is an interesting season. And when you look at all the bowls, I think it's so much more exciting this year because you had so many teams near the top of the rankings throughout the season. So many teams that played into that top 5. So many different teams falling as a number 1 or a number 2 ranked
but
team
it makes
in the country.
It more frustrating for those teams with 2 losses who are not playing for a national championship.
Well, that's true, but so many teams and so many games, you can look back and say, hey, you know, that particular team had a chance to maybe win a national title.
Dwayne Harris, who they use a number of different ways, bringing it out across the 35 to the 36. So good run for Harris, who also is a former quarterback and has thrown the ball a number of times this year.
But I agree with you, Terry. You know, you look at LSU as a 2-loss team, and there's no way that you can say that LSU as a 2-loss team is better than a USC or an Oklahoma or a Virginia Tech.
I think the timing of your losses, it counts too much in the standings as we look at the ESPNU All-State Standings Review, and Ohio State and LSU at the top. But if you lose early and people forget about you, I think that, plus the fact that, you know, the votes are cast each week on Sunday morning when no one's really got the chance to take it all in on a weekly basis. Johnson straight ahead. He's over 100 yards already in the game before Tim Brady stops him.
Oh, and you hear a lot of head coaches talk about the importance of getting into bowl games to get that extra practice, and you get an extra opportunity to showcase your program for recruiting. I think it plays into the next season's rankings. You know, you win a bowl game, that can help you in the rankings to lead into the next season.
Which makes a difference.
It does make a difference.
And how highly you're ranked to start a season.
So your performance in a bowl game in one season can affect your ability to maybe get into a national title game the following year.
He's still in at quarterback. Guns one out, and they're close to another first down. Jamar Bryant with his first catch of the afternoon. Maybe just shy of a first down. We'll see. Bryant, their leading receiver. That's his 43rd catch this year.
Yeah, and Bryant, along with Dwayne Harris, the two talented skill athletes on the outside. Great compliments to Chris Johnson, and I'm really impressed with the way that East Carolina is keeping this Boise State defense off balance. Also a bit of a surprise, Skip Holtz going exclusively with Pinckney early.
Dominique Lindsay in at tailback now as Johnson gets a rest. He's already over 100 yards. Play action. Pinckney looking for him out of the backfield. Well covered, but there's a hole. Still up. He can run. First down at the 32. Patrick Pinckney, who gained 253 yards on the season on the ground, as well as what he did in the air.
And this is what Pinckney gives you. You don't get the drop back passing threat, but he is always a threat to pull the football down. You know, he drops back. He's able to get out on the edge.
But the first quarter is in the books. Some action and points, including an 89-yard return here in the Hawaiian Islands. East Carolina on top of last year's darling Boise State. 10-7 you score here at Aloha Stadium. (10-7) ECU on top of Boise State here in the Hawaiian Islands, Oahu, and your heart rate just tends to go down about 5 or 6 beats as soon as you step off the plane, doesn't it?
It does, and you just give that exhale, and then you're in the driver's seat for about 6 or 7 days.
And if you're a player, I mean, all week long you're taking in all the sights, and you're going to Pearl Harbor, and you're on the beach, Waikiki, and you got to gear it up and play. Pinckney with the first down run down to the 15, so ECU moving the football, and a gain of 14 on that play. But the other night, both teams able to check out a luau. You get the lay, and then right outside the Royal Hawaiian there, the Sheridan right next door.
Luau has always been a trademark, a standard when he made the trip to Hawaii for a bowl game. This is one of the more structured weeks. A lot of activities, a lot of times and schedules, when to be at the bus, but a terrific job and a lot of fun things to do for the athletes over the course of the week.
First and goal from the 3. Lindsay fighting his way down to the goal line and into the end zone. So the ECU fans here all the way from Greenville, North Carolina, trying to make it sound like a Hawaii game this year. June Jones leading the way, who will join us, by the way, in a few moments. Dominique Lindsay, the junior from Charlotte, getting 6 more on the board. Lindsay, a guy who doesn't have breakaway speed, but he can run between the tackles and did so. This one just inside the upright, and Hartman tacks on another one. So a 10-point lead for East Carolina. Keeping it on the ground, mixing it up. Pinckney leading the way. Lindsay finishing it. 17-7 ECU on top of Boise State. Earlier this week, Colt Brennan heading out to practice. That's Boise State out there. What's going on? Well, they practice side by side, which seems a bit odd. And David, you were out there taking a look, and they had a chance to chat with June Jones, who now joins us in the booth. And Coach, how odd was that?
Well, that was a little bit different. You know, we got to see what they're about, and we kind of, you know, take a lot of pride that we won, and that was kind of their spot for the last 7 years.
Yeah, exactly. And winning that last game, what an atmosphere. And I want to talk to you about that, too, as we get things underway here. And East Carolina taking it away to Austin Smith, who's already brought it back 89 yards for a touchdown. Looking for a seam and out to the 29. But to come to this stadium, what you've done this year, undefeated, you're headed to the Sugar Bowl, but this island, I think there's an atmosphere here now and an excitement that I haven't seen in a long time.
No, in fact, I knew it had the potential to do that when I came back, but this surpasses everything that even I imagined.
And to hear this stadium like you heard it this season, that last one against Boise State, which may have been the biggest game ever for the WAC.
No question. Boise and Washington, this thing right here was moving up and down that we're standing on right now.
Back it up, and so it's now 1st and 20 for a Bronco offense that has sputtered so far. Tharp under pressure, has been sacked already in this game, has some room, and out to the 27. I want to get to that game that you're about to play in just a moment, but what you've seen so far here from Boise, and you know them well, 46 points a game. They're not far behind you. They put up almost 43 a game. Are you surprised at what's happened?
You know, I am a little bit surprised. Dave and I were talking about it a couple times earlier in the week when he came over to watch practice. I just watching it so far, it looks like Taylor Tharp is not himself. And, you know, I think so much keys on what he does in Boise's offense, even though you know, Ian gets all the credit and all that. But when Taylor is hitting balls and throwing the ball down the field, it changes things.
Well defended. They set up the screen. There's Avery, who's another. He backs up Ian Johnson, and Johnson gets all the hype, and he deserves it. But here's a guy who's awfully dangerous.
I'll tell you what, he scared the heck out of me. I mean, I have all the respect for Ian, but when he got in the backfield, you know, he just has a little spot of air, and he can take it to the house.
Hey, Coach, looking back on the run and shoot over the years and going back over 3 decades, it must be just really gratifying to see that offense get into a situation where you're in a big BCS game. You're going to the Sugar against obviously a storied program in Georgia. Talk to us a little bit about Mouse Davis and that offense and what that means for you to get this opportunity.
Well, you know, we have.
Speaking of run and shoot, that is Young with the catch across midfield. Nope, incomplete. He's out of bounds.
Well, you know, Mouse and I took a lot of criticism for what we were doing for a lot of years, probably 30 years. Mouse more than me even. You know, I'm watching today, as I'm sure you guys were, New England playing on TV against Miami, and I think they lined up in 4 wides about 100% of the time. And you know, it kind of gives a little satisfaction that, hey, you know, maybe 30 years ago we were right, and now it's finally coming around, and I take a lot of pride in that, watching them win.
And a real tribute to Mouse Davis as well.
No question, no question. He had the courage to do it when nobody else did. Tiger Ellison, he took Ohio State coach, took kind of a concept and developed it into a passing game, and what a job everywhere he's been. That he has done.
There's that line drive punt. It is fielded this time. Harris with a chance. Not much of a chance, though. Stopped right at the 25-yard line. I want to come back and just get a thought or two about the Sugar Bowl and Georgia and what you face. Coach, stay with us. ECU takes over when we come back. Surfs up here in Honolulu. Terry Gannon along with David Norrie. Janine Edwards down on the field. That's pretty good.
That is good right there.
Not bad at all. June Jones, the head coach at Hawaii, joins us. Do you get out there at all? I know you ride the bike.
Not so much. Yeah, I ride my bike.
17-7, East Carolina on top. They take over 1st and 10. Chris Johnson's had a big game already. There he goes. Johnson finally brought down inside the 30 at the 28. The quick burst, pretty impressive.
No, he does, and he outran the angles on the first touchdown run, and he outran the angles on that one again.
Well over 100 yards. That's 46 yards on that carry, and he was already over 100 yards.
We talked to the offensive coordinator for East Carolina, Todd Fitch, and he said Chris Johnson is as fast an athlete as I've had in college football, and Coach Fitch has a pretty good background. Some history in the SEC, and Chris Johnson, Boise State, Chris Johnson didn't have their attention coming into this game. He has gotten their full attention by now.
Orlando Scandrick saved a touchdown. That was Dwayne Harris, who lined up in the backfield, and that's what he'll do every now and then, even though he is a wide receiver. Coach, I want to ask you about Georgia. They're one of a couple of teams that people say right now, you don't want to play Georgia. They're playing great and they're red hot. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think most of those people are right. You don't want to play them. Their athleticism and their schemes. They've done a great job. Mark has done a great job putting together both sides of the ball. They coach them well, and they got great athletes. There's no reason that they shouldn't be upset that they shouldn't be playing in the big game.
Rick, the head coach of Georgia, has done a great job with the Bulldogs after leading the offense over at Florida State for a number of years. 1st and 10 at the 17. Johnson wrapped up behind the line.
Coach, you played in a lot of big games, and your team has played in a lot of big games. Hawaii has done a nice job of going outside the conference and playing against a lot of the BCS teams over the last 5 or 6 years. How do you guard against your players being a little overcome by the magnitude of the game in the moment, going down in the South, playing Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, the crowd, that sort of thing?
Well, hopefully just having done what you said, stepped out there and done it. We've been to SC twice. We went to Alabama last year. And you want to see the big time, you go to Alabama on a bus into that stadium. And our kids were a little bit shell-shocked the first half. But we rallied up and played pretty good in the second half. And hopefully we can start out the game without that intimidation. What a play that is.
Set up the screen to Johnson, and he goes to the end zone again. Touchdown, East Carolina, and they have totally dominated this game from the line of scrimmage. Remember, the one score on the board for Boise State was the kickoff return.
That's very surprising.
East Carolina doing a lot of nice things in terms of finding ways to get the ball in the hands of Chris Johnson. Getting him outside, getting him active, and Chris Johnson is really featuring his speed early in this football game.
Hartman on for the extra point. It's up and good. The 6th touchdown catch of the season for Chris Johnson, showing you why he deserves all the accolades this season, along with Ian Johnson on the other side. Hey, Coach, thanks so much.
All right,
congratulations,
guys.
Coach.
Best of luck.
Good luck.
Christmas.
Good luck down in New Orleans.
And a great year already for Hawaii. June Jones and what they've done. Colt Brennan and the guys will be headed to New Orleans to take on Georgia. Smith brings it back our way. He's got a crease. And flags come in late as he takes it out to the 45 and is wrapped up there.
Taylor Tharp taking over for Jared Zabransky. Zabransky, a great 3-year run as the starter. Ryan Dinwiddie, the 3 years prior to Zabransky, and Tharp is a guy who has had great numbers, but if he is not in rhythm, he struggles.
5 receiver set. That was their first down of the game, and this time inside the 40 to the 39 goes Tanyan Bissell, his first catch of the afternoon.
And this could be good for Tharp, getting into a no-huddle offense here. Obviously the clock is not a factor, but Chris Peterson doing whatever he can to get Taylor Tharp comfortable in the pocket, to create some rhythm in the passing game, and I like the idea of going no huddle here.
Gain of 15 on the play, so they move the chain. 5 receivers again over the middle. Same guy, almost the same result. Bissell with his 2nd catch. And they are playing without their all-whack wide receiver Jeremy Childs, who was suspended, did not make the trip. One of 3 who didn't make the trip over here.
Yeah, that's a huge loss coming into a bowl game. Sets the single-season record for Boise State. 82 catches on the year, and really the go-to guy, a guy who can find voids and get open for Taylor Tharp.
From the gun on 2nd and 2 to the sideline, incomplete. He was out of bounds. Toshi Franklin made the catch but was out of bounds, covered by Pierre Bell.
Well, there have been questions on Taylor Tharp's arm strength from time to time, but you watch on this post corner ball, he gets this ball there in a hurry, and the accuracy is pretty impressive as well. As a quarterback, you got to be careful to throw the ball with timing and not lead your wide receiver out of bounds. But I think Chris Peterson right now has some confidence and is happy to see his quarterback start throwing the ball with more effectiveness.
Avery in motion from the backfield. Quick throw, quick catch. Austin Pettis looking for room. And he has a first down, and we'll see where they spot it, though. Pettis, a guy who's really come on in the 2nd half of the year. 25 catches, 5 touchdowns in the last 4 games for the true freshman from Anaheim.
And he was a guy who in November took a lot of heat off Jeremy Childs, created a compliment on the other side. He's done a great job as a true freshman, along with Titus Young.
And the freshmen have put up big numbers this year.
Absolutely, both true freshmen with 37 catches, and of course Pettis' father, Gary Pettis, used to roam the outfield for the California Angels.
Avery, patient run burst throw, inside the 10, inside the 5, down to the 3. Van Eskridge on the tackle, but a gain of 23, and it's 1st and goal, Broncos.
Now, we heard Hawaii coach June Jones a couple minutes ago talk about his preparation and watching Avery on film. I visited with Coach Jones earlier this week, and he said, David, we were really concerned about him. Obviously Ian Johnson is a complete package, but Avery really lit it up, and we noticed him on film immediately.
DJ Harper now in at tailback. They fake to him, play action. Clark rolls it out towards the goal line. There's a touchdown. Ryan Putnam just able to hold on long enough to stretch the ball across the goal line. Putnam, the senior tight end from California.
And the tight end so important for Boise State. 4 tight ends get quality time. Putnam and Brockle really the key figures there. They create so much flexibility for this offense, ability to shift in motion, use specialty sets. Great play by Putnam making the catch and breaking the goal line.
Brodsman on for the extra point, up and good. So some life for Boise State here with just over 4 minutes left until the half. Ryan Putnam, his 4th touchdown reception this season. Some life on offense for Boise State as they get to within 10 of East Carolina. 8 plays, 69 yards, and just over a couple of minutes off the clock.
I really like the shift in terms of offensive strategy and rhythm by putting Taylor Tharp in a no-huddle type status. Took some of the thinking out of it for Taylor Tharp, and it looked like he really found his rhythm and a comfort level on the drive.
Chris Johnson back at his own 8. Outside, gets away. And great field position again for East Carolina. They've done this time and again as he brings it all the way back to the 40, a 32-yard return. They haven't given it away yet. Boise State has twice. Another first down perhaps. At least he's near that. Chris Johnson continues to roll.
Well, I've been extremely impressed by this offensive line for East Carolina. Steve Shankweiler, the co-offensive coordinator, who works alongside Todd Fitch, really has this front 5 playing well in the first half.
Chris Johnson, 172 yards already and a touchdown run. The lone setback. Play action. Pinckney stops, guns it over the middle, complete. First down inside the 15. Jason Holter, who's thrown a couple of good blocks to spring large runs already, with a catch, 16 yards.
When you run the football effectively, it opens up so many options, especially with a quarterback like Pinckney. You really improve a smaller quarterback's vision by getting him outside on the edges, and then the ability to drop the ball off with accuracy. This is a real surprise. Rob Cass sitting for the entire first half, but East Carolina very evident that their game plan was to get their athletes out in space against Boise State and feature their athleticism.
Pinckney playing with poise too offensively. Johnson dances inside the 10 down to the 8.
What's really impressive to me, Terry, is that Boise State is trying to outnumber East Carolina. They're trying to bring an extra defender in the box. The one thing you don't want to do as a defensive coordinator is watch the other team control the ball on the ground. East Carolina, to their credit, is using some 2 tight end and getting that 8th defender blocked. I think we're going to see a run here.
Still get a first down inside the 2. Johnson does run it. It's maybe to the 3. Close perhaps at the end of that first down. I think he's just shy though.
And Boise State, no need in taking those 2 timeouts into the locker room with you.
Well, the numbers for Chris Johnson, first half record here in the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl, 181 yards. Kevin Smith in 2005 had 202 yards. That's the game record in Central Florida. Give it to the up back. Dominic Lindsay to the end zone again. So Johnson doing all the work, getting them down near the goal line, and Lindsay able to take it in. And there surely were some people that thought East Carolina would stay with Boise State, but I don't think anyone thought that they'd see this in the first half.
Well, they're physically manhandling the Broncos up front, and I don't think there are a lot of people that expected that either. Johnson, Dominique Lindsay, both enjoying a lot of space, a lot of freedom between the tackles.
Hartman up and good. 31 points in the first half for Skip Holtz in East Carolina. And as we send it down to Janine Edwards on the field.
Coach, considering the reputation that preceded Boise State coming into this thing, what do you think of the way your guys are playing right now? You're typically not a strong first half team.
No, we really hadn't been, but I think these players are playing extremely hard. I think they feel like they have a point to make. We have an opportunity to play one of the best non-BCS teams in the country, and with the schedule that we play, we feel like we've got a pretty good ball club, and we're still growing, and we're still learning, and we're still developing, and I think they're extremely motivated, and they get an awful lot of credit. I think the defense is flying to the ball. They're playing physical, and really proud of the offensive line, the way that offensive line has matured. And I've said all along, I'm the president of the Chris Johnson fan club. I think he's a special young man.
He definitely is. Now, I understand he's got a hand injury. He's been icing that right hand. What's going on there?
Yeah, that won't keep him out. Knowing Chris Johnson, that won't keep him out. They told me that it's just a little sore for him right now, and I don't know, he may not be able to catch the ball as well. We'll see when we come out in the second half.
See you then, Coach. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Janine, thank you. 181 yards for Chris Johnson. You scored 31-14. East Carolina up as we join Reese Davis and Ed Hunningham in the studio. Gorgeous look out the back at Pearl Harbor from Aloha Stadium, and the sun beginning to set here on the islands. East Carolina 31-14, and it was 7-3 Boise State at one point in the first quarter. Terry Gannon back with David Norrie, Janine Edwards down on the field. So Ian Johnson just one carry for 1 yard. Obviously the ankle not healthy enough to go, but why did we see the surprising first half that we just saw?
I don't think Boise State was prepared on defense for the speed of East Carolina. And you look at the strength of schedule, East Carolina playing that monster September stretch. East Carolina with Chris Johnson exploding both in the backfield and out in the pass game. And I don't think Boise State was ready for the speed and athleticism of this group. East Carolina playing very well up front with their offensive line as well, Terry.
Over 180 yards on the ground for Chris Johnson in the first half. So if you're Boise State, you just talked it over in the locker room. What are you looking at here in the second half?
Well, I think Jeremy Avery's status, the number 2 back, a very talented back filling in for Ian Johnson. That'll be an interesting story as to whether he goes. But I think Boise State on offense may have to get one-dimensional, get Taylor Tharp in that no-huddle status.
There comes Chris Johnson bringing back the second half kickoff across the 25 to the 26 as we send it down to Janine.
And Terry, I've been listening to you and David talking about Taylor Tharp. I asked Coach Peterson what went wrong in this first half. He said everything. He said we've played about as bad as we have ever played. I tell you, he went in that locker room. He was not in a good mood. I said, is your quarterback looking uncomfortable? He said, yes, it's him, but it trickles down from him. He said it's affecting everybody. He said East Carolina is just playing a more physical game right now. Some of our younger guys are making critical mistakes. We have got to get some points on the board.
Once they went to the spread, Taylor Tharp looked more comfortable. They moved the ball, they scored, had a long drive, but then they turned it over to ECU, which led to another score for the Pirates on first down across the 30. Oh, right at the 30, as a matter of fact. Chris Johnson, another carry, and I think a lot of people right now, too, from Boise State saying, where did this guy come from?
Well, he's well known on the eastern seaboard, I can assure you that. 1,200 yards and one of the fastest skill athletes at the running back position that you'll see in college football. A bona fide 4-3 guy in the 40.
1,200 yards on the ground this season. Pinckney was run the show from the get-go across the 30 before Marty Tadman tripped him up. Chris Johnson, and you look at the total yards and 185 on the ground. Kay Jewelers bringing you the storyline here in the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl. The 2 turnovers really huge because it stopped that second drive for Boise State, that second fumble.
Boise State likes to do everything off the run game. Only 36 yards on the ground in the first half for the Broncos. 264 yards for the Pirates in the run game.
See if Boise State can get some momentum with a stop now. 3rd and 5 out of the shotgun is Patrick Pinckney. Crossing right over the middle, big reception. Cross midfield to the 48 goes Dwayne Harris. Guy who averages about 17 or 18 yards every time he touches the football. And he touches the ball in a number of different ways.
Watch Pinckney's feel in the pocket, throwing this ball with accuracy off the back foot, retreating in the pocket. If you're going to throw the ball on the move, off that back foot, you've got to make sure that you're going to use proper ball placement, and that was a nice front pocket catch by Harris.
Quick pitch, straight ahead, spinning still on. Johnson to the 18. Hadman saved the touchdown. And you mentioned on the East Coast, there's no question Chris Johnson is known and one of the top guys in terms of putting up numbers, all-purpose numbers in the country. I think out west, though, not many really know about this guy. Senior from Orlando.
The defensive game plan, as we look at the new Hawaii Bowl record, 203 yards, with the defensive game plan for Boise State coming in was to have a great day with numbers, getting to the football on defense, a great day tackling the ball carriers and the skill athletes, and not a great performance from a tackling standpoint for the Broncos.
He breaks the record of Kevin Smith from UCF that was set a couple of years ago. Pinckney, good coverage downfield. Right behind the line of scrimmage, he is dumped at the 19 by Tim Brady.
Take a look at the rush chart. Kind of work that Johnson's been getting done. He's been doing it all over the field. Testing the right side, the left side, 61 yards between the tackles. And he's also shown his big play ability. I think it's safe to say, Terry.
So Pinckney out of the shotgun. He's going to run it. Designed run. Inside, outside, and then down to the 19, almost to the original line of scrimmage. And Marty Tadman again. We've called his name often this afternoon.
Yeah, that was a nice play by Tadman. If he doesn't make the play, Pinckney might walk up that left sideline and into the end zone. Tadman, a guy, you see him in street clothes, not real impressive. He doesn't look like a big-time safety, but he is a great athlete, a multi-sport athlete, a great punt returner, deceptive speed, clearly the best athlete on that Boise State defense.
A couple of picks last year in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, the defensive MVP. 3rd and 12. A lot of time over the middle, complete. 1st and goal inside the 5 for Jamar Bryant. Knew right where the marker was.
Yeah, this is great work. Patrick Pinckney keeping Rob Cass firmly on the bench in the first half. And you really don't need to go with Rob Cass when you're getting that type of performance from the pocket with the Patrick Pinckney.
Johnson
Pinckney really having an impressive game.
Back in at running back. And there is Cass on the sideline. 7 starts on the year, and a guy who threw for over 1,100 yards. 4 for 4 today. Brandon Simmons in ahead and gets the call to the end zone. And how easy did that look? Simmons, the junior from Newton Grove, North Carolina, with his 2nd touchdown of the season. And that man's not happy for a variety of reasons, no doubt.
You got the tackles working up front for the Pirates. Stanley Bryant, Josh Kaufman. Kaufman, a wily veteran, and then the strength of that offensive line. The guards, Matt Butler, Doug Palmer, Stephen Heiss has been a real pleasant surprise. An offensive line is capable of dominating a football game. I think you start a football team with a great offensive line, and the East Carolina offensive line is having themselves an afternoon.
Back up Hartman, he nails it once again, and the Pirates rolling on the ground. Simmons taking it home this time. You know, David Norrie, the hula tells a story, and the one on the left there is saying, I like ECU today. The Pirates are going to roll.
The one on the right saying that Boise State is going to have to launch a comeback through the air.
Halftime festivities here at the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl in Honolulu. Aloha Stadium. 9:02 left in the third. ECU taking all the way down. They lead 38-14 now.
Look at you getting in tune with the island traditions and the
You can't help it.
dancing.
Line drive kick taken at the 15. And a good return coming back. Titus Young. He's got a chance. A couple of men to beat now. To the 33. So we've seen the 89-yard return earlier in the game by Austin Smith, and now great field position at the 32 for the Broncos.
With the exception of the touchdown drive, no huddle touchdown drive put together by Taylor Tharp in the offense, it's been kickoff returns that have generated the only excitement for Boise State.
52 yards, and they'll mark it down just outside the 33. So Taylor Tharp, who started the game on his first 6 drives, he was just 3 of 5 for 7 yards and an interception, but started to heat up. 10 of 13, 77 yards and a touchdown the last 3 drives, but the key turnover, the fumble, leading to points on the board for East Carolina. Jeremy Avery was banged up late in the first, back in starting the second. Good gain on first down.
The turnovers, the mistakes in the first half really played into East Carolina taking that big lead at halftime. The pick by Williams, and then Titus Young, just when Boise State had started to create some rhythm for Taylor Tharp. They were moving the ball sharply. Young puts it on the turf.
So Avery a gain of 8 on first down, and Tharp under center. Chris O'Neal, a tight end in motion, going to swing it out to Avery. Cuts back, he's gone. Touchdown, Broncos. "25 yards in the air out of the backfield."
What a block by Dan Gore, the big right tackle on the screen pass. Nice job by Tharp, retreating, setting up, selling the pass. And watch right here, look at Gore. I mean, he is just going to walk. He's just going to walk.
Travis Williams has had a great game, but he doesn't want his teammates to see the tape on that one. Rots went on for the extra point. Second touchdown catch of the season for Jeremy Avery. There's the man who made it possible. All 302 pounds of him. Mele Kalikimaka, David Norrie.
Coming right back at you.
To you and yours. Merry Christmas, everybody. Getting ready for the big night. And nice way to do it here in Honolulu.
My wife and I were very touched that you'd stop by for our tree trimming.
You actually had a Christmas tree in your hotel room.
We still do. It's still there. You can come by tonight.
With lights and ornaments and all. I mean, you know how to celebrate the holidays. Take it seriously. Chris Johnson, Special Teams Player of the Year in Conference USA, back at his own goal line. Right at the 20 and dump there. So ECU will start 1st and 10 from the 20. 38-21. Crowd's into it now. Not much going on at all. Gain of maybe 2. That's it as they go to the air. You speak of that, and Thursday they had a chance to take in Hawaiian Waters, one of the water adventure parks. And this, I've been to this place. I've taken my kids there. It is pretty cool. So this is how you prepare for a bowl game.
And you wonder why there's some questions as to which team's going to show up in the Hawaii Bowl. I mean, so many things to do, and kids are on their feet for hour after hour during the week.
Fourth down, not a great punt. This one off the side of Dodge's foot. And going to roll dead at the 48. Ian Johnson not carrying the load today, though. 1 carry early on. Had an ankle injury earlier in the week in practice, and they really didn't let on that it was going to stop him from playing today, but he was questionable, and he hasn't been able to do much at all. Good run after the catch, and near a first down for Titus Young. Hey, Reese, I thought you gave it away earlier already. I thought they had won already.
And come on, Reese, they did have a trifecta back in the ACC.
Through the hands of Austin Pettis. He had a chance. Yeah, don't mention it. It was inside the top of the key.
Well, there, but it was there nonetheless. 83, the ACC, the only conference to have the three-pointer. You led the nation in three-point shooting, for goodness sakes. And how about that ball from Taylor Tharp? I mean, he put that ball on the money. Pettis really had an opportunity there. Boise State has swung some momentum back in their favor.
You think about that possibility right there. Maybe a ball that, if not certainly could have been caught. And then the last play of the first half, Canyon Bissell in the end zone with the Hail Mary, have it go right to his hands. Straight drop. Tharp over the middle is really starting to get sharp now. First down at the 31. Avery in motion. They fake it to him. Tharp was looking for him initially. Not looking for anyone. Through the hands of Avery, through a bullet. So Tharp buying time back there, and good coverage down the field.
Yeah, Tharp is not going to scare anybody with his feet. He's not a Patrick Pinckney by any stretch of the imagination, and I was surprised he didn't take a little bit more off that ball as we look at his numbers. He made a nice job. Nice job of getting outside and buying a little time, but take a little off that ball. Put a handle on it for your young running back.
13 of his last 18 after just a dismal start to the game. Give it inside to Avery, who's run down from behind. Good pursuit by Zach Slate, the defensive end and a junior from Melbourne, Florida. Haven't called his name often this afternoon, but kind of a hybrid, the defensive end linebacker with speed and their best pass rusher.
Well, Tyler Tharp here has to be conscious and in a lot of ways conscientious of the situation, the score. And still 3.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Don't get greedy here. Don't turn the ball over, because you hit a field goal here. You got that 3 points in your back pocket. You make it a 2-touchdown game.
O'Neal in motion. 4 receivers. No chance for that. Out the back of the end zone.
Yeah, that ball got away from him. And Tyler Tharp upset. He had the picture that he wanted down the field with Austin Pettis on the inside route, and that ball sailed on him.
Eskridge racing off, may have a cramp. Brings up 4th and 8. Brotzman 15 of 17 on the year. And has been very good. And no question this one through. Cal Brotzman, who is 16 out of 18 on the year. Really only missed one, though. He had one blocked, and there was penetration on that play.
He's been lights out this season. One of the true bright talents as place kicker across the country. 15 for 17 on the year.
And the onside, did it go 10? They caught it at the 40. And he did a great acting job if it was a planned onside.
I'm pretty sure that was a planned onside, but Brotzman did not hit it the way he wanted to hit it. This was very much an intentional attempt, but you got to get it 10 yards down the field on that first hop. Boise State really had East Carolina by surprise.
Legal touching of a free kick by the kicking team. By rule, the receivers will put the ball in play. First down, East Carolina.
So you gamble and you lose because it's inside the 40-yard line. Take a look.
He kicks the top of the ball. Clearly intentional. But you got to get that ball in the air and down the field 10 yards. It's a big risk reward, and it was only a matter of time before we saw the specialty play from Boise State. We figured it might come in the special teams, and Brotzman just did not top that ball to get it up in the air and down the field 10 yards. And East Carolina's been moving the football. This is not what you want to see. Pirates in business inside the 40-yard line.
ECU takes over just inside the 40 of the Broncos. They're going to go for it all on first down. Over the middle of the field, incomplete. Double coverage there on Jamar Bryant. All right, Reese, thank you very much back here. 2nd and 10. The pitch to Chris Johnson.
And this Boise State defense coming alive, too, in the second half after that first drive by ECU.
Yeah, Reese featured the Patriots, and New England's going to have to earn it next week. The Giants look pretty dominant in the fourth quarter against the Buffalo Bills today, and I wouldn't say that 16-0 record is a cinch for the Pats. Not yet.
So it's 3rd and longer. Pinckney fires it over the middle, but well short. Jamar Bryant just past the original line of scrimmage.
No, that's a big win for Boise State. You know, off the onside kick, Chris Peterson gets a great effort from his defense. That was quick change defense. Not a turnover, but a failed specialty play in the special teams department, and the defense responds.
Tadman back at his own 10, awaiting the punt of Matt Dodge. Well, you feel like you can take those gambles when your defense is performing.
Well, it's a bowl game.
And right at the line in the end zone. It's going to come out to the 20. Well, and obviously a big military area here in Hawaii and in the eastern part of North Carolina with Cherry Point, New Bern, and Camp Lejeune, Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, and then Fayetteville and Fort Bragg. So certainly it fits.
You know, what was really moving was not only Conference USA's participation as we look out on the Arizona Memorial. What a pretty picture that is. And all the troops. My wife and I had a chance to sit down at dinner the other night with 6 servicemen and have dinner. And amazing to hear stories from Iraq.
Complete over the middle to Julian Hawkins, the junior from Long Beach.
Just to sit down at dinner, all 6 of them coming off tours in Iraq, and to hear the stories and the hardships that they have to go through, just where they sleep each night, 135 degrees at night. The temperature would hover 105 to 110 degrees. No way to even come close to articulating what it means to the citizens of the United States, the work that our troops are performing overseas,
and especially at the holiday time. We send out our best and our thoughts. Across the 30, there's a first down as Tharp dives for it past the marker. They'll move the chains, and it'll be 1st and 10 Boise State with some new life here on Oahu when we come back. 38-24. The Pirates doing most of their work in the first half, and now trying to stave off the offense of Chris Peterson and the Broncos. This image just keeps getting prettier by the moment. Look at that. Pearl Harbor, and on the left of the Arizona, USS Missouri. Unbelievable history behind it. Surrender term signed by the Japanese. Douglas MacArthur was there back World War II, and now prominently sits here at Pearl Harbor. Looks like a made-up postcard shop, doesn't it?
Stunning beauty here on the island of Oahu.
Avery, who's in for Ian Johnson. Big run out to midfield and then some. So we saw Ian Johnson come back in on the last series. Been out most of the game with that injured ankle, but here's the guy who is set to take over anyway the next couple of seasons at least, the redshirt freshman Avery, and here comes Johnson again.
Well, the East Carolina defense has done a great job of making Boise State one-dimensional in this game. Boise State, by their stripes, they want to line up, they want to bully the ball, they want to do everything off their run game, but the Pirates have been very tough against the Broncos on the ground.
And Johnson got 1 carry in the first half for 1 yard and a solid gain this time on first down to the 42. Here's a guy who gained over 1,000 yards once again this season. So 75 yards on the ground for Boise State today. They average 192.
East Carolina defensively came into this game saying that it was a must. We've got to get an extra defender up on the line of scrimmage. We cannot allow Boise State to control things on the ground.
It'll dump over the middle, complete the Pettis, spins away, then get another first down. Flag back though, where Tharp threw the football, maybe roughing the passer, we'll see.
Yeah, this could be the true freshman, Linval Joseph.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. And the 97 defense. 15 yards, they added to the end of the run. First down.
Big play. There's Joseph, all 344 pounds of him.
Yeah, he's had a heck of a year, the true freshman. He is going to be a dominant player in Conference USA for the next 3 years. And pleading his case on the sideline. He was dinged up this week. Normally the starter at that inside defensive tackle position. Mark Robinson got the start.
First and goal just inside the 10. Gonna run it. Titus Young. Can he get to the corner? Cuts back to the 1. It'll be second and goal from the 1-yard line. You get to that area, the 10-yard line or so, with this offense and with this coordinator, you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, it's a main staple. All the different sets, the motions, they try to outnumber you. They create mismatches with their versatility at fullback and tight end, and Putnam a nice job leading with his block.
At the goal line, touchdown, DJ Harper. Spun his way to 6. The freshman from Cypress, Texas. And you just somehow knew that this was going to be a game at the end.
Yes, you did.
Watsman, a bit of a high snap. Good hold. Tanya Bissell, the holder, got it down and up and good. Chris Peterson's squad back into it, down by just a touchdown. Plenty of time. A very hot Boise State offense in the second half. Taylor Tharp and the guys getting it done. Down by just a touchdown now here. The Sheridan Hawaii Bowl. 7:09 left as Chris Johnson and Dwayne Harris are back deep for the Pirates. And you're right, David. They will be tested. A little pressure on them to move the football. Turn things around in the second half. Nowhere near as effective as they were in the first half of football.
The difference has been Boise State's defense, especially against the run. 264 yards for the Pirates in the first half, but the Broncos have shut down the run game for the Pirates here in the second.
Johnson from inside his own 10. Gets by 1. Jumps over another and out of bounds up at the 47. How many times are we going to see the returns like that?
And I think we're going to see Cass here. And for good reason. I think you need to change things up here. If the run isn't working, to try to move the chains, Terry Gannon through the air.
So Pinckney's played the entire game, which is not the way they've gone throughout the season, but Cass comes on for the first time, hands it off. Chris Johnson dumped behind the line of scrimmage by Kyle Wilson. And Chris Johnson still on the turf and now finally getting up.
He got chopped down on the outside, and you know, with less than 6 minutes to go, actually less than 7 minutes to go in this football game, very tough decision to bring Rob Cass in off the bench cold. And that's a heck of a tackle on the outside by a cornerback that has a very bright future for the Broncos. Kyle Wilson, Orlando Scandrick, both due to be back in the secondary a year from now.
Cass comes out wide. Dwayne Harris takes the direct snap. They run it with him across midfield to the 47 of Boise State. Kyle Ging on the hit there, so it brings up third down.
And Dwayne Harris is a multi-threat athlete. They like to use him in the slot. Gives on the wide receiver runs. Throughout the year, they've utilized that direct snap. Tough situation here for Rob Cass. Third down. And you don't convert. Taylor Tharp due to take over again.
Pinckney did a terrific job in the first half. The offense has stalled here in the second a bit. Cass with the strong arm and a pocket quarterback. Out of the gun. Under pressure. Quickly. Incomplete. And the pressure did that. Had to unload it right away.
Well, he was looking for Jamar Bryant, a wide receiver who has been the wideout with the most plays throughout the season for East Carolina. Scandrick closing, and you could tell Rob Cass cold coming off the bench. Put a couple too many revolutions on that ball, and Boise State's going to take over.
Darrell Acree was the man who was just flying that pass. This one bounces right at the goal line and into the end zone. So Dodge just about a yard too long with that. And it will be Boise State football at the 20. 1st and 10 for Chris Peterson and the guys next. Busy scene in Honolulu, Waikiki, as a matter of fact. That tree right there at the Royal Hawaiian Hotel. It's not David Norrie's tree in his hotel room. Tharp hit it hard just as he lets this one go and throws it 3 rows deep.
East Carolina is turning loose with their blitz package. They're starting to heat Tharp up, and Quentin Cotton, number 50, has been involved in a bunch of linebacker blitzes here in the second half. He's coming on almost every snap. Greg Hudson, the defensive coordinator for East Carolina, is going to continue to bring number 50 until you can solve the problem.
Under center now. Play action, little shovel pass to Avery, who's got room, got a 1st down to the 48, and a big play for Boise State.
Well, how nifty is this Boise State offense? Brian Harsin at the controls. Now we love to harken back to that Fiesta Bowl game against Oklahoma. 4th down in that game, the game on the line. Harsin keeps Jared Zabransky on the bench. Little specialty plays like that deep pocket shovel pass.
Gain of 15 knocked the helmet of Van Eskridge off as he made the tackle. Titus Young looked for room after the catch, down at the 45, about 3 yards shy of another 1st down. So Boise State moving the chains, moving the football, sustaining a drive, 4-minute mark.
Coach Harsin, Coach Peterson electing to go to a no-huddle attack in the first half. Really got Taylor Tharp off well, and they're continuing to use it here in the 4th quarter.
Plenty of time this time for Tharp. He connects with Young. There's another 1st down to the 35.
Well, I think this no-huddle takes a little starch out of the East Carolina defense, especially their pass rush up front.
Speaking of great stories, Ian Johnson was one last year in the bowl game. This hasn't been quite the same day. Runs right into the line of scrimmage and down there. And one of the heroes from that win in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl over Oklahoma, and then proposing the back of the and even better than that, she said yes. Imagine if she had said no.
That would have been an uncomfortable moment. That picture etched into our minds, and the 2-point conversion as he crossed the goal line and threw the ball into the stands. I don't think I'll ever forget that one.
9th play of the drive. Tharp had time, doesn't now. Scrambles to the 28. Got to get to the 25 for a 1st down.
Well, I love the toughness as the rain starts to come down a bit. Looks like we got a little light rain.
Get that mist here on the islands.
Taylor Tharp, his toughness, and he has made some nice decisions. I like him there tucking the football and creating a manageable 3rd down situation. Game on the line.
You ask, Larry Cavallin, our director, gives that to you. Shot of the rain coming down. Very like that. 3rd and 4. Drilled, but a 1st down. He held on. Julian Hawkins somehow, some way, able to hold on to the football.
Well, Hawkins has done a nice job, and again, the offensive line giving Tharp some time. But Hawkins has done a nice job, and the Broncos needed wide receivers to step up. Childs out. Peretta went down the 4th game of the season.
Man, Nick Johnson, sophomore linebacker, just laid it on Julian Hawkins. He got up, went right back to the huddle. 1st and 10. Tharp throws back the other way. Young dumped after a gain of 1. Under the 2-minute mark. 2nd and 9. Here comes Slate trying to get there on the edge. Tharp throws through the hands, and Ian Johnson never left his feet. Never jumped. So it's 3rd and 9.
Well, as a play caller, Brian Harsin is one of the best at the college level. You're thinking 2 plays here. You want to give Tharp the opportunity to pick up the 1st down, but you don't have to be greedy. You can hit a ball short of the chains here. You just don't want to be facing a 4th and 9.
Got those 2 timeouts left with 1:52. 13th play of the drive. Hawkins in motion. Here come the Pirates trying to get to Tharp. Young at the 20, lost the football. Pirates have it. ECU comes up with another one. Skip Holtz fine with that.
And for the 2nd time in this game, Titus Young not securing the football. The Broncos would have been looking at about a 4th and 5, maybe a 4th and 6, but it was inexcusable. Young, even as a true freshman, you're deep into the season. You're in the 13th game of the season, and twice he's put the ball on the ground. Boise State has 2 timeouts, Terry Gannon, so there's still time for Boise State to take over. If they can stop East Carolina here, there will still be more than a minute on the clock. They use their timeouts wisely.
Jeremy Chambliss came up with that big hit, then fell on the football. Johnson, if he could have gotten through that, there was no one in the secondary, but he keeps it on the ground out to the 45, and Boise State's going to burn another timeout. Pass under center. Johnson cuts back. Ball is loose. Boise State's got the football. Tadman up with it. Bringing it back. He may go all the way. How about this? Touchdown Boise State. Can you believe that? Seconds ago, there were smiles on the ECU sideline, and perhaps a little bit premature, thinking that they had the football, they may have had a bowl game. And now Chris Johnson, well, just shaking his head. Minute 25, though, get a chance. Marty Tadman coming up with the fumble and taking it back. And we are all tied at 38.
Well, number 23, Jerron Johnson, does a great job of turning the ball up inside, and then watch Orlando Scandrick, number 8. He's going to put his helmet right on the football. And Marty Tadman, a terrific athlete, plays it on the bounce perfectly, picks it up in full stride. How about the hit by Scandrick? And Jerron Johnson did a great job getting up the field, creating a hard edge, forcing Johnson to turn the ball back inside. How about that, Terry Gannon, for some more Boise State magic?
It's not a hook and lateral this time. It's not a Statue of Liberty. It's the defense.
You gotta be kidding.
But remember, Johnson back deep, waiting to return, and he's had an incredible day to this point. He and Harris awaiting a line drive kick. It will be Chris Johnson at his own 10. Bringing it back across the 30, still up, powering his way, almost broke through up at the 39.
Well, looks like the Pirates are going to go with Rob Cass, big 6'4", 250-pound drop back passer. And he is coming into the game fairly cold. Had limited action here in the 4th quarter. Let's see what kind of drive he can put together.
Inside give. Dominique Lindsay, who scored 2 touchdowns earlier in this one, gets across the 40. Stopped at the 42. Cass hurries it up. Gets team back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, the Broncos are locking up man-to-man on the outside. Orlando Scandrick, Kyle Wilson. And they are getting an extra safety up in the line of scrimmage, making things very tough on the Pirates.
Under a minute, 2nd and 8. Cass rifles one, too high for the intended receiver, Stephen Rogers, and a hard hit by Kyle Wilson.
That isn't unusual for a quarterback to come in the game and be a little bit juiced up, come off the bench cold. And Rob Cass has had the ball sail on him a bit. He's putting a little bit too much on the football. You get in a situation like this where you get the adrenaline pumping, you want to back off the accelerator. You're talking about revolutions on the football.
Four receivers set. Johnson the lone setback. Cass rifles it up, complete to Bryant inside the 30, brought down at the 25. You've got a field goal kicker in Ben Hartman, whose long this year is from 52 yards.
That was an NFL type throw down the sideline. I mean, this is an impressive throw by Rob Cass with the football game on the line. How about the route by Jamar Bryant, finding that little void down the left sideline. Cass delivered it on a line.
23 and counting. Going to keep it inside the 20 down to the 17. So setting up that field goal with 15 seconds. And Skip Holtz is going to call another timeout.
What a pass by Rob Cass down the sideline to set up a potential game-winning field goal attempt.
Cass is going to keep it, just set it up in the middle of the field, right there at the line of scrimmage. 11 seconds left. And it will be Ben Hartman coming on for a try.
Chris Peterson electing to hold on to the timeout. Only 6 1/2 dozen of the other on that decision.
East Carolina, their third and final of the game.
Little
Skip
kiss.
Holtz blowing a Hawaiian kiss. But Rob Cass coming in and making a play that really could help decide this game.
12-21 on the year. They put it down just inside the 25. Hartman from 34 yards for the game. And good. And Skip Holtz can truly smile at this point. The East Carolina Pirates coming in at 7-5. Almost getting it done in Conference USA, but coming up short against an explosive offense. Heavily favored Boise State, but it's the Pirates winning here in the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl in 2007. Take a look at the game winner.
Some penetration by the Broncos, but Hartman hit it cleanly. Not a lot of doubt. A pretty solid job by Sloan to get that hold down. A lot of Pirates immediately headed for the locker room,
including Hartman leading the way as we send it down to Janine.
Well, I'm here with Coach Skip Holtz. Coach, some of your seniors had gone through those seasons where they were 1-10, 2-9. What does this win mean to them?
This is huge, especially to come back and have the opportunity to win it the way we wanted. And, you know, to have the great first half that we did. And Boise State's a great team, and Coach Peterson, and I give them an awful lot of credit and respect for what they've built in Boise State. But I tell you, the way they came back, we just couldn't get anything going there in the second half from an offensive standpoint. And then for us to give the game away on a fumble like that, and ironically, it's the first fumble of the year Chris Johnson has had, the first one of the season. And I told him, I said, hey, don't you hang your head. This just gives us a chance to win it on offense since we hadn't played very well in the second half. And really proud of Ben Hartman. He hadn't had a stellar year, you know, getting the ball down inside. But, boy, he's been clutch in a couple games, North Carolina in a game winner, and then here tonight. What a great win for the program.
Well, you said when you went into last year's bowl game that you didn't think the focus was there. What was different about the approach of your players this week?
I think it was the players. I mean, I think they understand that our goal was not just to get here. We wanted to build on what we did last year. Mike Golden said to me during the workout period, he said, these guys are focused on the game. There's no nonsense. There's no messing around. We got here yesterday. I got on them hard the first day of practice. I got on them hard last night thinking they really needed to be brought back in line after a week in Hawaii, and they're as focused. There wasn't a peep at pregame meal. They were, I thought I over-prepared them, to be honest with you.
No, you did the job just right. Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you. Proud of these players.
All right, Janine, thank you. Even the state trooper doing a little dance with Skip Holtz at the end of that one. Chris Johnson, no question about it, the Capital returns. So, David Norrie and Janine Edwards, our entire ESPN crew. I'm Terry again, and went down to the wire, 41-38.